Hi, Tom Cole, the coach for Steve Taylor's Community Connection, and it's certainly an honor and a privilege to be with a very impactful young lady in our community, Deidra Lashley. Deidra, welcome, Executive Director of the Bethany House. And I'm very familiar with Bethany House and the great work that you do. But for people that may not know, can you give us just a thumbnail sketch of what Bethany House does in our community? Because it's so very important.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Our
Really
honor.
appreciate the conversation. Bethany House has been around for 40 years, serving the community and serving domestic violence victims for 40 years. We provide long-term shelter, and that's really unique because most domestic violence programs are short-term, just for the crisis,
Right.
immediate safety. You might have 30 days in a shelter, and then you have to kind of move along. Bethany House is different, where we offer families a year to 2 years stay, free of charge, and they have the time then to physically heal from injuries, emotionally start to put some pieces back together, but primarily our focus is that financial stability so they can get really on their feet and have stability and housing and a safe next step in their future for their family.
Deidra, that's so vital in our community. We were chatting off air. I mean, it's become more vital, unfortunately, every day, every week, every month in our community. Unfortunately, I think the economy is a lot tougher than people realize or don't realize, but I think it is. It's a tough economy, and it may get tougher. So you're providing an outlet for people to, if somebody's drowning, you're kind of throwing them a life preserver in a sense, because it is like drowning. When you're caught up in domestic violence, you're caught up, usually that equates itself with financial problems where, say, the young lady's accounts have been robbed or taken away from her by the aggressor, which happens very often.
Absolutely.
So they come in with no money, no accounts, no credit, no job. And how do you get yourself stabilized and get back on your feet? And so Deidra, that being a given, how do you do that? What are the steps to have a young lady, and probably there with her kids, right, get back on her feet? What do you do?
Boy, you nailed it on the head. It's domestic violence is not just about the physical injuries, which I think most people think of first, but it's also the emotional abuse, the psychological abuse, and then that financial piece where the perpetrator is often not allowing the victim to work or taking all the money.
Yes.
Another thing that we see a lot is that the abuser will put all the bills in the victim's name.
Okay.
So the utilities, the car note will be in the victim's name, and then they don't get paid. So she is the one that
which wrecks her credit,
has the credit problems, the debt,
the
evictions, which are not uncommon because the police are often called, and so they can't stay where they were living, and they have to move on. And so, credit is huge. And so, you decide, you take that brave step to leave that situation. Who's going to rent to you? Who's going to give you that opportunity? So that is a huge obstacle for people to escape, is having that next landing spot where they have that time to rebuild their support system and rebuild their finances. So the steps that we take are really giving them that time to take a breath, set some big goals.
This isn't a quick fix.
No, this is not a quick fix. That it didn't happen overnight, so it's not going to be
There's no quick way out of it.
Right. So we let them, catch their breath, set some big goals.
And they feel safe.
Going back to school, getting a job, they have a safety plan. They maybe have some court issues that they're going through with custody and divorce, criminal charges. That all takes a lot of time to work through. Our advocates come alongside and really walk through everything with them, providing options and resources and opportunities and encouragement, to give them hope that they can do this. There's life after this trauma that they've experienced. So that is a huge part of it too.
Deidra, you're so very smart addressing these issues. It was such a salient point you made, because a lot of people don't realize this. If you're trying to rent an apartment, a house, or especially with apartments, credit check is number one. You might be a great person, but for bad things happen to good people. That's a truism. But when they go to rent an apartment, first thing they do is they run your credit.
Right.
And if the credit's bad, most times you don't get the place. I mean, unless so. Do you have special arrangements with people that,
Mhm.
rent places where, okay, this is Bethany House, here's this young lady's situation. She, we worked with her, she's on her feet, and you need to give her an opportunity. Is that how it goes? Is that what you do?
Yeah, there's advocacy that we can provide around landlords and relationships that we have. There's also funding and rental assistance available, help with security deposits. So we try to connect people to those kinds of resources.
Okay.
But something else that we did, the shelter we've had in operation for 40 years. But about 6 years ago, we started a housing program because we saw that that was the barrier keeping
Of,
people trapped in shelter,
of course.
no
Yeah.
opportunities to move out.
Right.
So we started our own housing program, and we've got 10 apartment units that we can rent to
Oh,
people
congratulations.
at way below market,
Right.
but it gives them the chance to build that positive housing history
What a great idea.
so they can rebuild their credit. So it's really a real step in recovery again of that whole credit issue and eviction issue. So we started that about 6 years. We're fully leased, so it's definitely been a proven need and helping people recover.
What a great program. Deidra, there's so many problems that are inherent in the situation when the ladies come to you with kids and they've been abused and they've had their money taken away and they've been battered. And I mean, it's mind boggling in a sense. What would you say is the number one thing that precludes them from being successful once they get to you? What is the number one thing that you have to kind of overcome with them, would you say?
Oh, wow. Really good question. There's so many factors, but I think primarily what we see is the abuser becomes more dangerous
Okay.
when the victim decides to leave.
Okay.
And so, they've made that brave choice to try to get help and reach out
Which
for
takes a
help.
lot of courage because
And
they've been abused.
yes,
Right.
and that's when things get really dangerous.
Okay.
So we do a lot of safety planning and wrapping around support. You know, letting them know what the court remedies might be, what options they have. But the abuser makes it very difficult. There's a lot of threats.
Sure.
There's a lot of stalking behavior. There's threats to take the children away. There's sabotaging relationships with other family members that she might have and be counting on. So that also just takes a long time to disentangle and really get away from that manipulation that continues to happen even after they leave. Research has shown that women who leave abusive relationships are 75 times more likely to be killed
Right.
than if they would stay.
Sure.
Most assaults happen after they leave. So, we often hear in the community, why doesn't she just leave? If it's that bad, why doesn't she just leave? Well,
Yeah,
it's because it's
never
dangerous.
it's never that
It's
simple.
very dangerous.
And you factor in kids.
And kids too,
And kids and money, and you need money to live today. I mean, you
right.
can't. People give you simple solutions to complex problems. I run from those people as fast as you possibly can because there aren't simple solutions to complex problems.
Right.
How does it make you feel in your staff? You have a staff of like 14 or 15, somewhere in there,
15,
Deidra?
yeah.
How does it make you feel when you say brought in a lady that's gone through all this with her kids, and you've provided this safety net for them, and they get confidence and they feel better about themselves, and they get out on their own with some kind of apartment housing that you correspond and set up, and they're having success? How does that make you feel? I mean, it's you're like a surgeon in a way who's saving a life. I mean, it is that dramatic. I mean, it really truly is.
Yeah, I don't think that's overstating it. We have so much to celebrate at Bethany House. A lot of folks will ask me, how do you do this sort of work? It's so depressing. But really, we have so much to celebrate.
Yeah.
And survivors are so real and resilient.
Right.
And, they do overcome. And we get to be a part of that. I mean, we celebrate that mission every day. That, if someone passes their GED test or, gets that job or opens that bank account, or their kids are now, that relationship is being restored. And, we have so much to celebrate. So it's really gratifying work. It's really rewarding work, despite the challenges, which are there. But we get to hear from survivors every day that maybe moved out a year ago or moved out 10 years ago, and just get to hear about how they're doing. Because they come back to us and they let us know.
And you build success one person and one family at a time.
We
I
do,
mean, there's not
yeah.
there's not a quick, easy fix. It's a
Mm-mm.
process, but you're professionals in this genre,
Mhm.
and you know how to do it. You know, it's not with the experience you have. You know what the formula needs to be to help these women recover and be successful. And I think that's
Mhm.
so important because you've probably seen it all, I would imagine, pretty
Yeah.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think what's also most powerful for us is the impact on the children. We know it's a generational trauma that
Yes.
continues the problem of domestic violence. You know, if you've witnessed it, if you've been a victim as a child, you're more likely to repeat that pattern. And so, really, what we do is prevention. You know, that we're trying to help show the kids that there's a different
There's
way of
another way.
being
It doesn't have to be this
and
way.
break that
Yeah.
cycle. And so often we get the kids coming back to us years later after they've moved out of Bethany House. We
Yes.
had someone who served on our board recently who grew up in Bethany House with their mother. So that is also what keeps us going every day, is knowing that we're impacting one family at a time, and the change that that makes is really powerful.
And the Bethany House family will continue to grow by the people that you place back into our
Yeah.
community and being successful. I'm sure that they never forget you and they never forget
Yeah.
what you've done for them. I would, you've saved a person that's drowning. It's really what it is. It's mentally, emotionally, financially, they're drowning, and you offered, that life preserver,
A way out.
a way
Yeah.
out. Yeah, a way out. If people want to contribute to Bethany House
Mhm.
and continue this work that is so vital in our community, how would they get a hold of you? And China will put it, you can say it,
Yeah.
China will put it under the video, but how would they get a hold of you to
Yeah.
contribute in some fashion?
Well, our website is a great resource.
Okay, and what is that?
BethanyHouseToledo.org.
Okay,
On the website, you can give securely through our PayPal account.
okay,
There's also lots of resources there. So if someone needs our help, or if someone knows someone who needs our help, it's a great way to get directed to some help.
okay.
Our referral packet's on there. There's
Okay.
other ways to volunteer, to
So just get on your
give.
webpage,
Get on the
basically. And
website. You can also call us,
Okay.
419-727-4948
okay.
is the phone number. So
Well, we
yeah,
can't
we'd love to hear from people.
thank you enough for what you and your staff are doing in our community. I don't know if there's any more important job to, replacing people who have been unfairly, taken advantage of in our community, and getting them set in a positive direction. So it's
Yeah.
so valuable that you're doing this. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Well, appreciate
It
the
was
support.
a pleasure. Yes.
Appreciate the help.
Thank you, Deidra. Tom Coley, coach for Steve Taylor's Community Connection.